working off my phone, and I have the agenda in front of us, but I can't see anybody. So if you raise your hand for, because you want to make a comment or a question, Danica, can you call on them?
I sure can. I have a couple of people who can help me keep eyes on the list as well for raised hands. So there'll be a group of us. We've got this one.
All right. Let's call the meeting to order. And Danica, can you take roll?
I sure can. All right. So we're going to take roll, beginning with Chair Wendy.
I'm here.
Fabulous. Vice Chair Magana.
Present.
Great. Thank you. Commissioner Snyder. Absent. Commissioner Rivers.
I'm present.
Great. Commissioner Ramtekar. Absent. Commissioner Thorson.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Mendoza. I see you there, so I'm going to list you as present.
Present, sorry.
That's okay.
My audio, yeah.
I've never done that.
Commissioner Urichu. Absent. Commissioner Trudell.
Present.
Great. Commissioner Jolly.
Present.
Wonderful. Commissioner Allen.
Present.
Great. And Commissioner Melillo.
I am here.
Fantastic. You have a quorum.
Lovely. All right, let's move on to the approval of the agenda. Can I have someone make a motion to approve our agenda for today?
Commissioner Allen, I move approval of the agenda.
Thank you, Commissioner. Can we have a second?
Vice Chair Magana, second. Oh, go ahead, Commissioner
Okay.
Trudell.
I defer to the senior member.
Aw, that's so nice. All right, we have our second. We'll move on to the consent calendar. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes for the regular meeting of March 17th, 2021, please?
So moved, Commissioner
Thank you.
Allen.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Sorry. It's a little behind.
That's all right. We're good. Did I get a second on after Commissioner Allen?
Commissioner Trudell, I'll second.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Correspondence. Do we have any correspondence since we spoke earlier?
We do not.
Excellent. Open forum. Members of the public are invited to speak on any item that does not appear on today's agenda, and that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the commission. Meeting attendees are usually given 2 minutes to speak on any discussion item and or during open forum. The time limit is the discretion of the chair of the meeting and may be limited when appropriate. Speakers using a translator will be given twice the time allotted. So that all being said, are there any members of the public that would like to address the commission?
All right. I am just maximizing my list of panelists and attendees. But so far, I see no hand raised for open forum.
Wonderful. But I heard you all had a speaker last week. When I wasn't here, when Jose was covering, I'm so bummed. I wanted to hear a speaker. Okay, let's see. We're moving quick. We're moving on to discussion and action items. Our first item A is memorialize and adjourn the meeting in honor of Mr. Scott Kimizuka. Yeah. A library employee who's dedicated himself to advancing the library's mission, supporting and mentoring innumerable staff, and to providing excellent service to the residents of San Jose for nearly 40 years. I think Jill's going to talk to us about that.
Yes, thank you, Chair Wendy, and good evening, commissioners. Tonight, we are asking that the Library and Education Commission adjourn this meeting in honor of the memory of Scott Kimizuka. He was a library assistant at the Berryessa branch who passed away suddenly on Sunday, April 11th. Scott Kimazuka was a San Jose native, a longtime employee and devoted public servant for the city of San Jose. He started his career at the San Jose Public Library in 1981 when he was 16 years old as a library page at the Pearl Avenue branch, which was his home library. He was later promoted to library clerk and worked at the Cambrian branch, the Old King Library, and then the Berryessa branch. In 2007, he was promoted to library assistant while working at the Hillview branch, and then later transferred to the Evergreen branch before settling at Berryessa. He worked at some of the library's busiest locations, led his clerical teams to support the library's many public service campaigns, including the expansion of several of our library services. And when the library was forced to temporarily close its doors last year due to the pandemic, he opened the Berryessa branch community room to provide staff with a space to safely sew and package cloth face coverings to donate to community members. Scott was passionate about community and libraries. His passion led him to constantly mentor and provide guidance for staff, and he became a resource for many. Staff described Scott as dedicated, kind, and generous. He was known for his hard work, constantly keeping himself busy, was known to be the first one to arrive and the last one to leave the branch. He was also known to come in on his days off during holiday closures to ensure that the book drops were kept cleared so that our library customers were able to return their materials with ease. Personally, I knew Scott as one of the most conscientious and dedicated of our citywide team. In fact, when I talked with staff after we heard the news, and I felt that they desperately needed time to process their grief, I offered for them to close for the remainder of the day, which I never do. People know that about me. As I was driving home, I received a message that they talked it over as a team and decided to stay open for Scott because that is what he would have wanted to serve the community. So this past Saturday, April 17th, would have been his 40th year working for the library. He is survived by his mother, his sister, and his brother, and he will be missed by his family, friends, the library colleagues, volunteers, partners, and community members. Staff have prepared a short video in memory of Scott.
All right, we're going to play the video now.
Beautiful.
Thank you. And I know that there are many people here to pay their respects to Scott tonight. I know that the chair will ask for public comment, and the council member from District 4, where the Berryessa branch is located, is here tonight.
Yep. So I can make the motion and the second, and then comment, and then it's done. Yeah. Would that work? Okay. Can we have a motion to memorialize and adjourn the meeting in honor of Mr. Saat Kimazuka?
I so move, Commissioner Jolly.
Thank you.
Second.
Commissioner Rivers, second.
Thank you for the second. Can we at this time take any public comment or any comment from commissioners that they'd like to in memory? And if people could help me call them out, that would be great.
I think, are we going to go to public comment first?
Yeah, sorry, public comment.
So, Danica, can you help manage that? And I would like to welcome our council member to speak first.
Okay, well, thank you. The Berryessa branch is the cornerstone of our community in the eastern part of District 4, really a gathering place for the residents of our district. It's such an important part of our community, and Scott has been there at that branch for a long time. He's been a valuable resource for our community, and it was sad to hear of his passing. My thoughts are with the family and with the coworkers who knew him so well, and just want to make sure that everybody knows how appreciated his service to the city and to District 4 and to all of the libraries, and how appreciated that is. So I want to thank you for adjourning the meeting in his memory, and thank Scott and his family for all their dedication to the city of San Jose and to Berryessa Library.
Thank you, council member. I see Danica put a comment.
Just a visual reminder that, we would love to hear from anyone who wishes to speak. So if you would like to speak, please utilize the raise hand feature so we can see you in the list and we'll call on you. And again, we would love to hear anyone who has something to say.
I think while we wait, I do have a couple of statements that folks sent to me because it is really difficult to talk about this. And so I will read those, but I want to encourage folks to staff who I see here in the attendees to, speak up if you'd like to. And Danica will flag your hand there. This message is from Candace Tran, who is the branch manager at the Berryessa branch. Candace, I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to do this. Okay. Thank you, commissioners, for allowing us the opportunity to honor our dear friend, brother, and colleague. Who was Scott Kimazuka, and why so many grieved with his passing? Scott was an ordinary man who made extraordinary impact on the people he left behind. He was a friend to many, a mentor to some, and a strong supporter to those under his care. His amazing work ethic served as a source of inspiration. For 40 plus years, he happily served our SJPL customers with pride. He gave so much of himself to us, his SJPL family. Those who worked with Scott know of his kindness, generosity, caring nature, and let's not forget his stubbornness. He was my right-hand man, my partner in crime, and my brother, in quotes. Please know that you are well loved. May you rest in peace, Scott. Thank you, Candace. Anyone? Okay, I'm going to keep going because I have another one. This is from Hi, who is another library assistant. I've known Scott since 1996. He was a full-time clerk working at Cambrian. I've picked up extra page shifts there and noticed this guy was different from the other clerks. He was quick and constantly moving from one job to another. When I came back to my branch and asked my supervisor who used to work with him. She told me a little about Scott's work ethic. Scott started working with SGPL since the early 80s as a library page. He loved to shelve and getting everything done by the end of the day. He would shelve during his breaks. I don't want to hear that. He would shelve during his lunchtime. Scott did not consider becoming a clerk as his duties did not involve shelving. Staff that worked with him regularly really cared about him and pushed him hard to apply for it. He eventually applied and got the job. Now being a clerk with key access to the building, Scott could come in on Sunday and holidays to work on the book drop and shelve the materials. This story stays with me to this day. It is no surprise that when he got promoted to library assistant and finding out that he still shelved materials every day, it brought a smile to my face. I've never met a more committed and dedicated person in my life. In my 20-something years working for the system, I have used Scott as my inspiration and try to always give my 100% effort at work. Scott means a lot of things to everyone who worked with him. To me, he means what it is like to be committed to your job and how to remain humble. The more I thought about Scott when writing this, the more I realized in a way he was a mentor to me. It is with deep sadness that I'll never got a chance to tell him that now. I hope he is at peace and in a better place. We also have, there's a letter that was submitted to the commission from the entire Berryessa Branch Library team. I don't think that I can read the whole thing, but it is in the packet for the commissioners. And several of the staff gave individual comments. And they talked about how legacy is a very overused word these days. It seems that everyone and everything has to have one. With Scott, it's true. He has left behind a very real legacy, which will affect the way we do things here at Berryessa Branch for a very long time to come. On a personal level, every one of us who knew Scott and worked alongside him, whether things were going well or badly, will remember him with great affection. When all was said and done, however much you like your work, it's the people that you meet in it that really matter, and colleagues like Scott are something very special. You don't come across many of them in your lifetime, and when you do, they leave a lasting impression. Scott, thank you for being a part of our lives. We are really going to miss you.
You're doing great, Jill.
Oh, thank you. I want to invite any other staff who wanted to say anything one last time. I understand if you can't. I thank you for the words that you sent in as well. And then we can wait a minute and then, oh, we have Emily.
We have one.
Emily.
Emily, you should be off mute.
Yeah.
Great.
Emily, can you hear us? I know she was rushing from something else, so I was trying to stall. Emily, can you hear us? I can't hear you.
I just promoted her to panelist to see if that would fix the problem.
Hi, Kennedy. Can you see her, Danica, as a panelist?
We see her as a panelist and her icon is unmuted, but we could be having a connection issue potentially, or a mic issue.
Well, maybe we could go to the commission. And then if, oh, she says she can hear us, but we can't hear her.
Jill, I'll work with her. Let's go ahead and go to the commission and we'll try and get her back.
We have one more hand raised. Oop, where'd she go? Espina had her hand raised, but she's taken it down. So.
Okay, let us know, Asfana, if you want to speak. But I think Chair Wendy, we could go to the commission.
Okay, so are there any commissioners that want to also have any conversation or make any comments about this? I certainly do. I just, so anybody who spends 40 years of their career doing something that they love often doesn't think that that's a job. They think it's their part of who they are. And the things that you were saying, Jill, the impact that he had on others is also kind of a library thing. And so him representing the library in this particular way is not surprising, or hearing people talk that way. I bet there's a lot of folks that are just like this. And so we're really lucky to have this kind of representation. And it's super sad. It's super sad, but it's lovely too. Any other folks have any comments? I'm looking, Danica, if you want to.
Commissioner Rivers?
Yeah, hi. I just, I am very disappointed that I have never met this amazing person, but more than anything, I just want to say thank you. And for all the people who knew him, it sounds like, you know, that it's a really good thing you got to know him, because he sounds really amazing. And you know, and I just want to, you know, thank you up there, thank him, thank the universe for having such a lovely person involved with our library.
All right, and Michelle has sent me a message. Michelle, would you like to say something?
Oh, yes. Okay, thank you. Sorry, I was trying to look for the raising hand, but thank you for unmuting me. Okay, so just wanted to quickly mention, I've actually did not have an opportunity to work with Scott directly, but I had the opportunity to work with him in a committee, one committee, and that's the scheduling task force, where someone actually recommended that I call on him, and it was definitely a pleasure working with him, trying to figure out the schedule, although his approach is definitely different than the other LAs. Might have been a little bit different than the rest of them, but I know that I can count on him providing me with meaningful reasons why he chose the path that he chose. And the intricacies of his calculations is always interesting, to say the least. So I definitely will miss working with him in that regard. And I, you know, just like everybody else, will be thinking of him greatly.
Thank you, Michelle.
Okay, great. It sounds like Emily's back. We can have Emily speak.
Can you all hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, good. Thanks, everybody, and sorry about that. Gosh, I have so much to say about Scott. I only got to know Scott for the past 4 years, which is just a fraction of his time at San Jose Public Library. But he became a buddy of mine, and we got to know each other working at Berryessa. And Scott just truly represented the clerical staff so well. And this is the Library Commission, so I doubt this analogy is necessary, but whenever I'm explaining like the dichotomy of the public library workforce, I like to share with people who are new to the library or to just unfamiliar with the library system that library assistants are kind of like when you go to the hospital, they're like the head nurse, and they like just they're the glue. They are the people who hold everything together. And I'm a branch manager, so I can say this truthfully. they're like the eyes and ears. They see what's going on. They catch the little details. They run a tight ship. Operationally, there's just so many different moving pieces, and Scott had really mastered that. And I think in Jill's kind of statement about Scott, it was a quote she read from Candace. Candace said Scott was an ordinary man who made an extraordinary impact, and that is so on point. That is what Scott was. And he did it for 40 years in this library system, and it's truly an end of an era as we say goodbye to Scott. And but everything he's touched and his legacy will continue to live on. So just thank you so much for taking this time to learn a little bit about him. I could go on forever. He had so many cool things about him. Generosity was his gift. That is the one thing that I will remember most about him, is he just was so interested in others, and he would give gifts. He never wanted acknowledgement. He would leave like little secret gifts for people. He was just a really, really cool guy. And I just feel really privileged and lucky to have known him. Thanks.
Thanks, Emily. And I just wanted to note that we have a lot of other staff who are here, and that's because Scott was such an important member of our team. I really want to thank the Commission for indulging us with this sort of unique addition to the agenda. And, we just wanted to find a way to make sure that his contribution was known by more people. So thank you. And I think
go for the vote.
You can take a vote. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks to all the staff who came.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Okay, time to vote. Those that are in favor to memorialize and adjourn the meeting in honor of Mr. Scott Kimazuka, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? All right, it's passed. Thank you. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, everyone. I failed to ask for votes on on approval of agenda and consent calendar, so let's just go back really quick. Can I have a vote on the approval of the agenda? If you agree, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. If you are a no, please say no. If you're an abstention, please say you abstain. All right, thank you very much. Let's go to the vote for the consent calendar. Those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone who's a no, please say so now. Any abstentions, please say you abstain.
Commissioner Jolly abstains. I was not at that meeting.
Thank you, Commissioner Jolly, and thank you all for indulging me going back and taking the vote. All right. So are we ready to move on to our informational item, the COVID-19 update with Jenny Choi and Michelle Ornette?
Sure. I could go after that whole tribute. It was very touching.
Really, I
was like, I don't know if I can do this. Good evening, commissioners. Hi, I'm Jenny Choi, and with me is my partner in crime and many other things, Michelle Ornette. We are the two deputy directors. And I'm here to give you the update as requested of our COVID-19 service impacts and our service overview as of today. Okay, next slide, please. And just a reminder, our mission is to kind of keep our public services balanced with our emergency operations, supporting our students, families, and then our role in digital inclusion, all under the umbrella as we still are in this pandemic with our safety operations and communications in place. Next slide, please. So we are just about rounding into a month of being put back into the Santa Clara County's orange tier. If you recall, we were in the stay-at-home order, purple tier, and then we moved to red, and then we pretty quickly moved into orange tier. That coincides with the city of San Jose. They have their own kind of stages for the pandemic response. So we're in stage 8 of the city's response. And currently we're maintaining existing services, so we're able to resume our express pickup to our normal operating hours, which
were the Monday through Saturday, 1 to 6 p.m. We're very excited to announce that we were able to start this limited technology access. So we've been able to just allow appointment-based computer use and printing services. We were able to offer 10 free prints per person. And that's also the same time as our express pickup hours, Monday through Saturday, 1 to 6 p.m. We initially were doing like the slow phase out, just to make sure that we have the capacity to handle this and we can do all of this safely. So currently we have the service available at Alum Rock, Tully, Edenvale, Evergreen, and Seven Trees branches. We just added the last 3 this Monday. And then starting on Monday the 26th, we plan to add our East Branch and Bascom sites. And we're targeting for May 3rd to add Educational Park, West Valley, Biblioteca, and Hillview. And we're continuing with our Maker Spaceship device lending. We also have a couple of low-income and senior tax assistance services running at Hillview and Berryessa. So one of them is through a company called Vita, and one is through the AARP for seniors. And we continue to support our PRNS department with the Rock and Learn Pod activations at various sites. And then our virtual programs and school support are occurring weekly. And we are still engaged in the City of San Jose's resumption of services process. So I'll go over that a little bit, I think, later in the slide. There is a process for us to request to resume all those different services that we're doing. We have to kind of vet them through our Emergency Operations Center. They go through the safety branch of the and we make sure that we are proposing to safely kind of perform all the duties and tasks related to these services. And of course, we are still maintaining our safe workplace practices as mandated by the County of Santa Clara. And we are continuing to provide support to the city's EOC in many ways, and many of our staff are kind of assigned to support these roles. As you know, we are the lead for the digital inclusion, I can never say that word right, digital inclusion branch. That's actually the library is the lead department on that. And we also are supporting these additional branches, childcare, schools, safety, community and small business engagement, the reopening task force, public information and translations, planning and documentation, and then the fairly new vaccination task force. Next slide, please.
Hey everybody, here's just an update on where we are with regard to our access to our collections and to our e-materials and then virtual support and programs. Again, as we reported last time, our e-checkouts continue to grow. We're still maintaining an incredible 75% active e-card user rate, which is pretty remarkable since we've maintained that through the entire pandemic. Also, we have new data on the number of uses we've had for e-learning resources and databases. So just in the 2020 year alone, we had over 900,000 uses of these resources, which is pretty phenomenal. The access to collections, still Express Pickup continues to grow sort of week after week. And since we had closed, we've over 200,000 patrons that we've served, and now over 815. Oh wait, looks like a lot of zeros there. It should be 815,000 checkouts. Also, our hotspots, incredibly popular. We know we have 3,000 of them that circulate. We have about 86% of them checked out at this given moment. And some of the ones that aren't currently checked out mean that they're on hold, or they possibly need a new box or a new case to go with them. Virtual programs and support still happening 7 days a week, including our ref chat and our mail interactions. And we're still continuing to provide that support in English, Spanish, Vietnamese, and Chinese. And also we will continue to provide the multilingual support once we reopen to the public. Next slide, please. Virtual programming stats still continue, with what we're doing. I'm still having that model, and you can see here that most of the attendance comes from our children and our families. And Araceli will talk a little bit in just a moment about some new programs we have coming online. Next slide, please. Araceli.
Thank you. As Michelle mentioned, my name is Araceli Delgado Ortiz, and I'm the Early Education Manager for SJPL. Tonight, I'll be highlighting 2 of our newest early education programs, the Family Friend and Neighbor FFN Caregiver Support Network, and our preschool programming. So to start with, the Family Friend and Neighbor FFN Caregiver Support Network, SJPL, with the support of the San Jose Public Library Foundation and First Five Santa Clara County, successfully launched our FFN Caregiver Support Network pilot program in January 2021. The program's mission is to build FFN caregiver networks, increase access to information and resources, and provide professional development support of building stable, safe, and responsive relationships between the FFNs and the children and family in their care. The FFN Caregiver Support Network is designed to fit the needs and interests of each individual FFN. As part of the participant onboarding process, program staff conducted an intake interview with each FFN to understand their goals and aspirations for participating in the program. FFNs are provided opportunities to customize their learning by selecting from a menu of professional development options. This allows for flexible selection of educational opportunities that not only take into account their professional needs, but their personal ones as well. So far, 46% of the FFNs have completed the required 21 hours professional development, and we are only 2/3 into the program, so we're really excited about that. The program's inaugural cohort reflects the high interest and demand for programming and supports tailored for FFNs. Registration for our program filled past our 50 participant capacity, and there's already a growing wait list for a second cohort. We look forward to returning back next month and giving you a more in-depth presentation on the program. Next slide, please, Danica. So now on to our preschool programming. For the first 5 years of life, children are rapidly developing physically, cognitively, and emotionally. This period provides the foundation for a child's future success in school and ultimately in life. In fall of 2018, 1,253 kindergartners across Santa Clara County were assessed by their teachers using the Kindergarten Observation Form, often referred to as the COF. It is a valid and reliable tool that captures children's social, emotional, and cognitive readiness for kindergarten. The research showed that only 44% of San Jose sample was assessed as being fully ready. There were significant racial, ethnic, and gender disparities in readiness in San Jose, with readiness levels significantly higher among girls across some racial and ethnic groups and among white children relative to the children of color. In June of 2020, with the support and request from the community, the San Jose Public Library launched their virtual programming every weekday at 9 a.m. So you can see some of the titles at the bottom. Mondays, we have Artsy ABCs, Math and Play, ABC Show and Tell, What's in the Box, and We Seek and Find. The program curriculum was developed based on evidence-based practices identified in the Applied Survey Research, ASR, school readiness tool, and it focuses on building developmental domains in the following areas: academics, self-regulation, social expression, and motor skills. Under each of the domains, there's identified skill sets. Program staff weave in multiple opportunities for the children to practice building their skills within the programs. For example, the children in Miss Nari's We Seek and Find on Fridays start each session listening to the rules of the game and focusing on her clues. As the children return back to their screens after finding something that might start with the letter A or something that rhymes with sat, they sit patiently for their turn to share what they have found. Sometimes waiting for your turn is not easy, and the library staff and the caregivers work together to strengthen that skill. The preschool programming has been widely popular and with the community, and there's been interest from library systems across the United States. We look forward to continuing to grow these programs with the goal of supporting children so that they may enter school ready to learn. Next slide.
Thank you, Araceli. So with our upcoming children and teen programs for spring, we're still continuing offering our Maker Spaceship virtual class visits with STEAM activities. And also we're doing some virtual programming with regard to grief counseling with a children's book author to really provide focus and loss for children and parents during these challenging times. The other thing that we're doing is we are launching our next cohort of the second Swift-based Girls Who Code program. And also with the teens, we should put those two together. There'll also be some mental health programming also for teens in coordination with Santa Clara County Behavioral Health Services during this important time. Spring Panel Career Series is going on with engineers, attorneys, dancers, a number of different kinds of professions to help teens get ready for college and career readiness. And also their Study Smart series as well. And in addition, we are partnering with Work to the Future to have 3 high school interns work with us to create digital campaigns around book clubs, books and reading. Next slide, please. Some of the adult program highlights really are centered around, again, workforce development in partnership with Women Back to Work and Women Returners. And these work group series have been incredibly valuable and powerful during this time as people feel so disconnected. The library has been a nexus to bring those people together, whether it's a community practice or conversation or skill building. Additionally, other virtual programs continue with their English language learner conversation clubs, tech assistance, community connection hours, and more career development with LinkedIn, how to get ahead of community college, and also how to use technology such as Instagram. For PAR with Career Online High School, really excited that we have 46 new students since January, and we also have 32 graduates. So now we have over 110 graduates for Career Online High School, which is a huge, huge achievement for all these people to have done this work during the pandemic. And during this time, we still have strong tutor support with 134 tutors providing over 3,200 hours of support to 170 learners since March. Next slide, please. Student library cards are still working actively with school districts, and we are going to be issuing finally physical cards to those students come fall of 2021. And Lauren Hancock and the team are still working on finalizing MOUs with the other local education agencies that so that we can reach our goal so that every student has a library card. Educator library cards. This has been going really well, and so far we have 77 cards issued to educators. These two programs will continue even when we open. And the student hotspots, and just to remind everybody, we had distributed 12,800 hotspots to 32 local education agencies. Next slide, please. Virtual learning support. We're continuing to do virtual class visits, and we're reaching students from TK to 8th grade. These visits are really designed in partnership with a teacher, and they include a comprehensive website tour, a book talk, curriculum support, or technical assistance. And to further expand our offering virtually, we now have Makerspace Shop offering virtual field trips to students. Since it began, 994 students in 1st through 6th grade were able to participate in one of 47 virtual field trips. These visits are designed for a one-time session, and they focus on learning a single concept or skill using home materials, which is incredibly innovative. Still providing virtual homework club on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And we're reaching over 600 students, 98 of whom are unduplicated. And we also have a strong cohort of volunteers as well. And we have an average daily attendance of 17 students who are participating. Learning pods are happening at 5 library locations: Alum Rock, Berryessa, Educational Park, Hillview, and Mount Pleasant. There are currently 46 student cohorts through the city, and the current capacity serves about 552 students, and that's happening at 19 city locations. Right now, though, we have 410 students who are currently enrolled. And again, these are still enrolling cohorts, basically 3 weeks at a time, and they're still stable and following the CDC guidelines. Next slide, please. With SJ Access, really, really happy to say that, again, we have our 3,000 Wi-Fi hotspots that are checked out with a good number of those, 2,500 in current circulation. But really exciting is that 2 days ago, 600 HP Chromebooks are in circulation and available for people to place holds on at every single one of our locations. So in partnership with the foundation and with our digital inclusion branch of the EOC and our entire EDL team, our access services team, tech services team, IT, marketing, public services, it took a huge effort for this to happen, and really pleased that we can be able to provide this device lending to all of our patrons. In addition, We have 120 Apple iPads that are now in circulation, and those are available at Seven Trees Tully Educational Park, Alum Rock, and Hillview. And we still have our laptop checkout program that we started last year, and all of those are still currently checked out. Next slide, please. Okay.
And just to go over our next steps, so we do have a few service plans in the queue, and we are trying to be proactive about having services resume in alignment with the upcoming county and city orders as we anticipate them. It's hard to kind of pinpoint those as we don't know when the city or the county tiers will change. But we do have our resumption of services process that we work together with the city's EOC to review the safety protocols, and then our city manager's office executive leadership team kind of gives us the final okay to proceed with these plans. So we do have additional branches slated for the limited tech access by appointment, and we'll continue to roll those out as we can get them set up. We also have a plan to incorporate reduced capacity indoor service planning. As you may know, public libraries do fall under the retail guidance of the state's blueprint for safety. And so we are looking to do this. We've submitted the proposal. Our EOC and the city is being a little bit, they're being very cautious about, I think it's one of the first departments that would be allowing indoor access to the public. So we're continuing the planning, and we've been told that we can consider it as we move into the county's yellow tier. What we're envisioning would look like would be kind of self-service checkout, a holds pickup, limited browsing, and potentially some partner services. And we are trying to prioritize our 11 branch locations where we identify kind of the highest need. And we're also putting together plans for the King Library and potentially doing some maybe first floor reduced capacity access there as well. This would include self-service and limited marketplace browsing, also tech access by appointment. We're discussing the We Explore Play Space by appointment, which you all know we constructed a beautiful new play area in the Children's Center, and we haven't been able to have it open to the public yet. And also potentially exploring Teen HQ by appointment, as well as California Room by appointment. And then I think I missed one on there, was the SJPL Works Business Center as well. And we do also have a plan in there for a few different partner services and limited volunteering to resume some of those services and hence help support our current service operations. And next slide, I think that's it. And we're happy to take any questions if you have them.
Thank you, as always. Commissioners, are there any questions or comments? If so, raise your hand or use the raise hand function, and Danica will help us out.
We do. So we have 3 raised hands. Commissioner Rivers, I believe I saw you first.
I just wanted to thank you guys for all this amazing work, and just to let you know, personal, my in-laws have the hotspot and laptop that they're using from the library, and my wife went over and picked it up and made the reservation because it was too complicated for them to figure out, or well, I guess at the end of the day, they didn't have internet to do it, right? So we did it for them. She went and picked it up and then got them all connected. So thank you so much, because, I think, especially during COVID, it could be super isolating, especially for seniors. And so it was just a really, really lovely thing for them. So I just want to say thank you and give you an anecdote of people that you absolutely helped. So thank you.
Commissioner Allen? Commissioner Allen, did you want to?
Oh, I'm sorry. I just had a question on the King Library. Do San Jose State University students have access to the King Library at this time?
They currently don't, Commissioner.
They don't.
I think they are offering their virtual services. I think about 50% of their students are using the library services virtually. They do plan to resume fall session in August. And so I think they're looking to put together their plans as to what that would look like for entry into the library for their students as well. So obviously that one's a little bit more complicated, where we have 2 different systems that we need to work through the protocols and what type of things we can offer.
Thank you.
Commissioner Trudell?
Yes, I just want to hats off to Jenny and Michelle. Fantastic job. I mean, it's just incredible that so much is going on that I'm not aware of. And it's fantastic for the community, and you guys are all a credit to the whole San Jose Public Library system. And I don't know what we do without you guys and all the people that work with you. Just a fantastic job.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other hands?
I see no more hands.
All right. Well, I'm just going to second what Commissioner Trudeau said. I mean, it's just amazing the breadth and depth of services that you all work on in our community. We're so lucky. We're so lucky to have you. So thank you. Okay, I think we're ready to move on to item number, letter C. It's information item update on the budget from Andrea, yes?
Hi, good evening. Can you go to the next slide, Danica, please? So Andrea Maestra, Library Administrative Officer, and I'll be providing a budget update. And so this is the annual April update to discuss the upcoming proposed budget. Next slide, please, Danica. So I wanted to start off, I know I've used this slide every single time this year that I've talked about budget, but just kind of to remind us remind everyone that we, in the 2021 adopted budget, we did have a reduction of 27.8 FTE, which resulted in 4 hours per week at all locations. And so that is a reduction that was included. And although it hasn't necessarily been felt by the community because we haven't opened fully, we're still under COVID restrictions, it is something that was approved and included. And so I just wanted to remind everyone that that's our starting point for developing the 21-22 budget. Next slide, please. So at this point, even as late as 6:15 today, I was still communicating with the budget office about what would be included in our proposed budget. And so what's being presented is what we anticipate is going to be included. So at this point, there is a proposal to add some service hours back to the library. It would be 16.2 FTE. And so we reduced our staff by 27.8 and our add back is 16.2. And so the hours would not be equivalent to the 4-hour reduction system wide. And so it is going to be an hours add back that would be only at specific locations, and it would be based on an equity lens. And so that proposal is getting finalized. And so we're still in that process, but it is expected to be included in the proposed budget. And the funding source for that is general fund and library parcel tax. So the general fund would fund 75% of that proposal, and the library parcel tax will fund 25%. It's important to note that this is a one-time add back. And so we'll be in the position the following year to try to either continue or add more hours back. The other item that is part of what we expect to be included is 3.5 FTE one time, and this is funded by the San Jose Public Library Foundation. And so I just received some communication or later this evening that that's a little bit changed, but it is going to be included. And so it's kind of going to be updated by the next slide, the SJ Aspires proposal. So it will be included. It will just be a little bit different because the mayor's March budget message included some SJ Aspires funding, and SJ Aspires Literacy Program Specialist was originally included in this proposal. And so as far as the actual ask and the proposal, it's still what we wanted and requested. It's just in a separate proposal. That's all it is. The other item is this year, because the King Library has been closed to the public, there were some savings as it relates to the operations of the facility. some general maintenance, the security, UPD security and police services. And so we're recognizing a one-time $300,000 savings to the general fund as a result of the activities that didn't occur or that perhaps occurred at a reduced level because of the closure of the facility to the public. And that is funded by the general fund. The other item is our annual foundation fundraising. And so we'll be processing that. That's a one-time on an annual basis, and it's to leverage the $250,000 minimum of fundraising efforts for the foundation. And the funding source for that is the library parcel tax. Next slide, please. So these items here on this slide are part of what is anticipated to be included as a result of the mayor's March budget message. So the first item is SJ Learns program funding. So it's one-time funding, $500,000, in addition to the $1 million that's already programmed in on an annual basis. So we expect that fiscal year 21-22 budget will include $1.5 million for the SJ Learns program. So that's very exciting. The second item that I was referencing was the SJ Aspires program funding. And so the mayor's March budget message included a recommendation for us to fund a portion of the administrative cost associated with the SJ Aspires program through the federal funds. And so this one, I just received word that it was approved to be included. And so the amount that will be included is expected to be about $538,000. And so that is in alignment with what we requested. And so that is expected to be included in the proposed budget. And the source of funding, of course, like I said, is federal funds, and it is one time. The next item is digital inclusion and equity. And so this is to directly support the digital inclusion branch of the EOC and the expanded efforts that the library has been taking on. This would be one-time funding using federal funds, and we're still in discussions with the budget office about what will be included or as part of this effort. And so that has not been decided yet. And that will likely continue. Those discussions related to digital inclusion will likely continue through the month of May. So we'll provide an update at a later date. Next slide, please. Oh, I'm sorry. Can you go to the previous slide? Sorry, Danica. I just wanted to point out, so the first picture here is a picture of when we opened up our express pickup at our Edenvale location. And so it's kind of the way that it was set up. And then the second picture is our Alum Rock Tech Access setup, how we had the desk really kind of set up far apart. And then the third picture is a picture of one of our mobile makerspace ship mobile hotspot kind of their tours they went on. So there's numerous tours that have happened. And that was one of the pictures that I really liked. It was a family that, showing off their hotspot they got. So it was really nice. I think this one was from Eastridge. And so I thought those are really nice pictures to kind of share activities that have kind of happened throughout this year and the things that have been keeping the library busy. Next slide, please. So now moving on to the capital budget. So this year we've been working on, security surveillance system installing. I believe we did that at 6 locations. We have about 3 more to go that will happen next year. We also this year worked on roof replacement and a variety of other miscellaneous items such as evergreen carpet replacement. So next year we'll continue working on branch facility maintenance and improvements. We have an HVAC system we need to replace at Berryessa or upgrades, Berryessa, Evergreen, Hillview. We have some other work at Hillview as well as the last 3, I believe, branch security cameras and surveillance systems to be installed. In addition to that, we do have a deferred maintenance as it relates to our branch libraries as well as the King Library. And so in this budget cycle, we did create reserves to try to start planning to address some of that deferred maintenance. And so King Library in itself has about $7 million of deferred maintenance. That is our portion of the funding. San Jose State's portion is about 13 million. And then as you all are aware, our other branch libraries are starting to age. And so the deferred maintenance, although they are beautiful and still new and you know, they're great facilities, as with all buildings, they start to age and start needing maintenance, needing big replacements, and it's costly. And so I believe that the branch facility libraries deferred maintenance is approximately 32 million. And so we're talking about almost $40 million. It's a pretty significant chunk of deferred maintenance. And so we're actively working with Public Works and the budget office and figuring out how to plan out those capital expenditures in the next upcoming years. And we'll continue to work on IT infrastructure included in our capital budget, as well as our acquisitions of materials collection budget. And so that's the summary of our capital budget proposals and what's expected to be included. Next slide, please. Now, this is the annual budget process, and so we'll kind of just jump into where we're at. We are in April, and so the next activity that's scheduled to happen is May 3rd, where the city is expected to release the proposed operating and proposed capital budgets. May 10th through the 28th, there are community budget meetings. May 12th through the 17th, there's expected to be public study sessions. May 18th, public hearing at City Council. May 26th, the City Council budget request process starts. And then in June 7th, the mayor's June budget message will be issued. And so typically that does include some additional recommendations, and a lot of activity will be happening through June, including, sometimes there's MBAs, managers budget addendums that are included in the final budget document as a result of the mayor's June's budget message. So there is expected to be some activity around that. On June 14th, there will be the final public hearing for the budgets. June 15th, the mayor's June budget message plus the budget approval at council. Excuse me. And then June 22nd, the final budget adoption at City Council. And so once we have more information about the actual budget study sessions and community budget meetings, we'll share that with you. The official schedule hasn't been released. They typically release a kind of boilerplate schedule. And then as we get closer, they release a more specific schedule. And sometimes they run fast or maybe get a little bit long. And so we'll make sure we keep you apprised of that schedule and kind of what is expected. Next slide, please. So that is the budget update. I'm happy to answer any questions or if you have any. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Commissioners, if anyone has questions or comments, please raise your hand or flag Danica down.
We have two hand raised. Commissioner Trudell, I believe I saw you first.
Thank you. Hi, Andrea.
Hi.
Good to see you again. Kind of an off-the-wall question. I'm not sure if it's in your bailiwick, so to speak, but security cameras that are still remaining in which branches? Is there anyone who can answer that question?
Oh, I do not know the last 3 branches that are remaining, but I can get that information for you.
Okay, I'm just curious. I'm sorry about the chiming of my nautical clock. I keep forgetting to mute the clock. So at least we know it's 3 minutes after 8. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'll get that information back to you.
Commissioner Thorson?
Thanks for the great overview, Andrea. That was really helpful. And I was wondering if once it's either confirmed that that additional funding is coming through to make the change from the 27 to the 16 FTE, if you could send an estimate of the number of hours that the library would be closed as a result with that new number. Because I've been doing some kind of estimated math. And so it's really kind of staggering at the 4-hour a week closure rate, kind of estimating that each library is open 8 hours a day, 6 days a week, which isn't quite right because I know the hours fluctuate per branch, but per year that ends up being 26 days out of the year. So it really puts really frames it differently in my mind when you think about the difference between those 4 hours and really how that adds up across the course of the year. So while I'm glad to have the additional potential funding to get us down to just 16, that's still for me not good enough. So if we could have that additional information when you have it, that would be much appreciated.
Yeah, we will definitely share as soon as the proposed budget is released. We can definitely share the details of that and make sure that all the commission is aware of what is actually officially included. So to better kind of prepare for any participation that you all might have for any of the community or study sessions. Yeah, thank you.
Commissioner Rivers?
Yeah, hi. I heard you mention, and it was a while back, I tried to make a note, but didn't quite get there. You mentioned that some of the budget was going to be viewed through an equity lens, which is very interesting, and I'm very happy to hear that. I was just curious, is that a formal process, or is that, what does that mean for, with you regarding the budget?
So the city, this year's actual budget proposal process included every department submitting what was called an equity worksheet. And so that worksheet was expected to summarize what the equity factors were as it relates to the proposals that were submitted. And so just to kind of remind you, the departments were asked to submit budget reductions, not budget adds. And so the fact that we were expected to submit budget reductions, there clearly was going to be an impact. And so how was that impact going to be felt throughout the services that we offer to the community? And so we submitted that. Now, this is the first year that submittal worksheet was required and was part of the budget process from the beginning. Last year, there was an equity piece incorporated, but it was very late in the process and it didn't really run concurrently with the proposals. So I realized that the budget office intended for it to be added, but I think that because the team that runs the office, that office was probably not equipped or probably not staffed, and just the timing of the budget happening because of COVID, it just wasn't enough time to really fully incorporate. So this year they did incorporate it from the beginning. And so when reviewing how to add back hours and what branches, the focus from the budget office was specifically related to making sure that it was viewed through an equity lens, and that lower resource communities were in fact provided resources. So that is the process that occurred.
Okay, well, let me please voice my support of that. I'm very, very, very pleased to hear that happened this year. Thank you.
And,
yeah, I was just going to add that we have heard, and it is likely that during the budget study session at council, that the library add back is going to be one of the featured conversations, specifically because our team has done a lot of good work on creating an equity index to sort of a mapping feature to help us understand and be able to talk about the different impacts in communities across the city and the difference between the lower resourced and a higher resourced community. And knowing that we're working closely with the Office of Racial Equity, this is the first time this has been done in San Jose. So we're a little bit of the guinea pig, I think, but we will really be looking for feedback from council and others. So I welcome you to join in those the study session, the budget study session in May.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm definitely interested. So please let us know about that. Thank you very much. And thank you for
Jill.
doing that. It's super important. Thank you.
Jill touched on a really good point, that the recommendations and the data, what came from our library data team. And so Anne and Bobby did a tremendous amount of work. And so the budget office didn't make that decision. It was the library team and library data. And so I just wanted to make sure that that was noted.
Great. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? I'll take that as a no. Thank you again very much. And again, when you need our support or when you need us in any way, shape, or form to show up for testimony, for letters, all you have to do is say so. So thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you. We'll definitely let you know.
Good. Okay, it looks like we're moving on to D, information around the San Jose Public Library Foundation update with Commissioner Thorson and Dawn. Take it away.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to get us started. So 2020, as we're all well aware, was a really unpredictable year, but throughout, the San Jose Public Library Foundation was a dedicated supporter and partner to the library. And 2020 started off really well for the foundation. The fundraising budget was met so quickly that the foundation's budget actually had to be adjusted. And then in response to the city's economic crisis, the foundation has helped support library staffing costs that would have normally come from the city's general fund, but could not be covered by the city due to budget cuts. The foundation has also increased advocacy for the library by bringing together members of the foundation board, the library commission, and Friends of the Library to work together to advocate against these budget cuts. The cuts were minimized in fiscal year 20 to 21, but as we have seen, the library faces up to 1.4 million cuts for 21-22, and that is could be permanent too. We could get, the one-time funding. So it's really important that we can continue these advocacy efforts in the coming months. And so wanted to say that if you are interested in joining the advocacy committee that includes members of the SJPLF board, the commission, and Friends of the Library, to let me or Dawn know, and we can send you meeting information. And I'll also send out our upcoming meeting information too when it's available, so you're all aware. And we can move to the next slide. So one of the things I've noticed as I've been the liaison to the Library Foundation is that we really hear about all the work that the foundation contributes to in our regular commission meetings. And so a lot of this will be very familiar to you. The foundation has been working closely with the library to support programs related to the education and digital literacy strategy that was adopted by the city. For the youngest library members, these include the We Explore Play space at the MLK branch that was funded by the Sharks, and that we're hoping will soon welcome children in the near future. But in the meantime, the foundation has been helping to support the 20 to 30 multilingual online programs per week that have been offered during the pandemic. And those have been averaging 75 participants, which is really impressive. We also heard earlier tonight about the Family Friend and Neighbor Caregiver program that also launched this past year and has provided community for caregivers in addition to computer and internet training, first aid and CPR certification, and child development training and workshops. And that supported 52 caregivers. Next slide, please. And so moving on to all of the K through 12 programs that the foundation has supported. We've heard in the past about SJ Learns that provides grants to schools for after school and summer learning programs. This past year gave grants supporting 883 students in 13 elementary schools and under-resourced neighborhoods. And that meant that 80% of students demonstrated academic growth and 70% of summer students avoided the summer slide. Also really impressive this year was the Coding 5K Challenge, which happened virtually and served a huge number of students. They had the first camp for 5 to 7-year-olds that was offered virtually, and the camp served 124 students. But in addition, there were also 248 live and online coding courses that had 4,478 students attending, which is really great. And then, of course, there's SJ Aspires that helps students have success in a community or four-year college program and offers them microgrants, counseling, and mentorship. And that expanded from a pilot program in 2019 for 260 students to support 725 students that were enrolled for 2020, including the entire Overfelt High School class of 2024 and the sophomore class at San Jose High. 2021 means that the San Jose Aspires will have a new website and a significant increase in the scholarship amounts. It will move from $500 to $5,000. Next slide, please. And then the foundation has also supported programs serving adults, including the Career Online High School program, where adults can earn their accredited high school diploma. So since it started, it supported 107 graduates since 2016, and it has a 75% completion rate, which means it's the #1 program in the country. And in 2020, a really impressive 32 diplomas were awarded, and 6 graduates are currently enrolled in an online college degree program. Next slide. So the highlights of 2020 for the Library Foundation have really been helping to pivot the library to pivot online due to the pandemic. As we've all heard about, SJ Access has provided internet access and free Wi-Fi and digital literacy programs to city residents. And the foundation raised funds for staffing of the program and provided about 700 computers for checkout and giveaway. And that's the SJ Access program has meant that 12,800 student households gained access to the internet, and then 3,000 hotspots are available for checkout to library members. And as I previously mentioned, another major highlight was the expansion of just SJ Aspires. And then another achievement was that the first endowment in honor of Pat Dando, who served on the San Jose City Council for 10 years and advocated for the library during that time and throughout her life, was set up. And so the foundation is home to this endowment, and it supports children's programs, resources, and materials at the Almaden Branch Library. So now I'll turn things over to Dawn.
Thank you. So for those of you who've been on the commission for a while, you'll notice that we're kind of in a very different space now than we were 3 years ago, which is phenomenal and is not coincidentally aligned with the fact that the EDL got adopted. So keep that in mind as we go through the rest of these slides as well. So next slide, please, Danica. Just for 2020, and just in case you didn't remember, because you have no reason that you would need to remember this, the Library Foundation works on a calendar year fiscal. So we're 6 months staggered from the library and the rest of the city. So these numbers are reflexive specifically for the 2020 calendar year. Some of this we've already talked about. Andrea mentioned it as well, but we were able to use some of the unrestricted funds that we had raised in previous years to be able to help continue some of the critical staffing positions for the education and digital literacy strategy. So that was for last year, and Andrea already kind of forecast what the board had committed for the upcoming 21-22. And I'm thrilled that the city is going to be paying for at least one of those positions again And so that's fantastic. And as much as we love being able to step in and help out with these core activities, ultimately we, Library Foundation staff, and of course the board, know that your bricks, mortar and staff really are the responsibility of the city to be able to keep such a great caliber organization going. Some of the other programs that got a lot of funding last year, we already talked about the We Explore Play Space under the Early Education Services, Coding 5K Challenge that again launched back in February 2018, continues to secure corporate interest as it provides coding and computer science exposure for children who do not get such exposure during school or other out of school activities. Given where we are in Silicon Valley, that's not particularly surprising, as most of the forward-looking companies realize that if they're going to build their pipeline for excellent employees, they really need to be starting in the elementary and middle school levels. So it behooves them as well as us to have a very good program that helps children play. And as all of you know, being educators and early educators, play is the way that you test things and you experiment and you find the things that are going to drive you and motivate you through the rest of your life. SJ Access, also launching last year, got a lot of corporate funding. And we have been putting that to very good use, if you have already heard, in getting more computers to be able to augment what the city is doing regarding hotspots, and being able to just push out more digital literacy workshops, getting computers that are in the collection for people to be able to check them out, just like they do a book. But also there's a slice of computers that we're using as giveaway incentives. So for people, the digital literacy workshops are quite an investment of time and effort by people. And so one way that we're hoping to reward that effort is by being able to, we don't have enough to give one-to-one for everybody who finishes the digital literacy workshop, but they at least get entered into a drawing to be able to have the opportunity of going home with a free computer that is their very own, borrowing that same idea from a lot of the early ed programs which give away free books. Summer Learning, you're very familiar with that, just to build a person's home library. And so in this case, we're looking to build a person's home digital inclusion opportunities. And then SJ Aspires is the current Bright and Shiny, and it is getting a lot of attention last year and continues to get some amazing press, but also attention and resources from some of the largest companies that are in this area. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. So next slide, please. Apologies if this came out really small on your screen, but hopefully by now you all know how to make your screens bigger so that you can see these figures. It essentially is showing that in 2020, our last fiscal year, we raised nearly $5.5 million to benefit the library system. Which is phenomenal. I think it's the largest single year that we have had to date. So definitely sets the bar from going forward. On the expenses side, the program, of course, program costs remain the single largest expense for us, coming in at nearly 86%. That is all of the program costs together, whether it's monies that we distribute out to the library's business office for them to reimburse some of their expenses for programs that we fundraise for, or if they are for vendor costs that we've paid for directly. For example, the Coding 5K summer learning camps, or summer coding camps rather, are taught by credentialed teachers who we hire on as a contractor. So the Library Foundation pays those credentialed teachers directly for their work for those summer camps. And there's a number of other vendors that it just makes more sense for the foundation to pay directly. So the program line there is inclusive of all of the expenses related to programs. what this means is that, we had a very healthy net revenue at the end of last year. The vast majority of that was a single gift that came from the J. Paul Company for the SJ Aspires program to the tune of $2.5 million. So that, while it was, an awful lot of money to get all at once, and yes, I have a copy of that check up on my wall, it is something that we won't be spending out for several years. So those funds will show up in our net assets as we move forward in the year. So next slide, please. So this was one of the slides that I had an opportunity to put into the in-service presentation that I gave to the rest of the library staff. And when I put it together, it made me giddy to see this slide. So I'm here sharing it with you, and I hope it makes you feel really happy as well to just see how much the organization has grown. So the Library Foundation, it's a 35-year-old organization at this point in time. And we fully intend to be around for a lot longer, but to see this spike in interest, as I said, it really is due to the fact that we're able to fundraise around the Education and Digital Literacy Initiative, and because the library has such fantastic staff and programs that make it so much easier for us to go out and talk to people, and they get it. They see the library is this entity that touches all parts of the city. It's arguably the single largest provider of out-of-school time education. It's for people who are looking to make an impact in San Jose, it literally, there's no other entity that is worth, gives a greater return on investment for philanthropic dollars, which isn't the only thing that, philanthropists look at, but definitely is an important thing. So that is amazing. Let's see, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so we also, in growing up and being more mature as an organization, we are getting some accolades from our peers. And so those 4 seals that are there on the right reflect that that maturity of us as an organization, that we are being able to do the type of work that you should be looking to us to do in terms of being a strong player in philanthropy in San Jose, in the region, and in the nation. And so being able to get these seals of approval just further adds to the confidence that people can have when they make a donation to the Library Foundation, to know that it's going to be put to good and immediate use. And we also have all of our socials, which I know I've asked you lots of times already to follow us, and I am asking you one more time because you all have amazing networks and will help expand out the reach and knowledge that everybody has. And the library is a fantastic partner for so many other nonprofits in the city. So too can the Library Foundation be a great partner. We're very happy to go in together on joint applications, wherever that makes sense for different funding agencies. So as you talk to your own networks and the different community-based organizations that you are each impassioned with, please remember that we as the Library Foundation are also here as a potential partner for these other folks doing great work. So we're really excited about what 2021 is going to bring. I know we're a quarter of the way in, and Hillary mentioned that last year we got maybe 2 months in and we had to throw the budget out the window because we'd already met our fundraising goal. Well, hallelujah, we're doing it again this year. So after the amazing event on Thursday, we will be in a position of needing to revise our budget for 2021, because otherwise the fundraising numbers just have no meaning for the rest of the year. So we will look for that and really thank you for your work in helping to amplify what the library does and to work with us, whether it's in advocacy or raising awareness or ultimately raising monies to help these programs reach more students, go deeper, have a more impactful effect. So thank you. And that concludes our presentation. If you have any questions.
Thank you both so much, and thank you for all the work. My goodness. So commissioners, any comments, questions? Please raise your hand and Danica will help us find you.
Danica, I think you can stop the slide share now as well. No, maybe not.
Commissioner Trudell.
Again, I'm seriously passing out kudos to everyone tonight. Don, that's just fantastic. You and I just talked to Peter not too long ago. I just want to let you guys know it's a fantastic job. It's very, very impressive, considering the short time frame, relatively speaking, that you guys have been doing this. And I can see the improvement. It's fantastic, and checks in the mail.
Thank you. Deeply appreciate that.
Are there others?
I see no other hands.
I would just comment again that I love the chart that goes up like this, on 2015. And I wanted to ask Dawn, when did you join us?
I started at the very beginning of 2018. So if you skip quickly back, the increments are 5 years. So
I just wanted to note that having a partner like Dawn has made our work so much more effective in the education sphere. And just, I think you see what happens when you have a great organization and then a great support organization working together so closely. It's, I think all the success is definitely thanks to her and the team. So thank you.
It's great. Any other comments? I just echo the same thing. It isn't surprising that the two leaders of the organizations that work together are Jill and Dawn. So really great job. Great job. Okay, are you ready to move on?
I think so.
All right. Is our council liaison here today? I didn't see. I can't see.
I am here, yes.
Oh, good. Welcome.
Thank you. So thank you, commissioners, for having me today. I'm Mariela Garcia from Councilmember Arenas' office, and it's always really nice to spend this evening with you. First, I wanted to offer my condolences to Scott Kimizuka's family, his coworkers, and his community. And I really wanted to thank everyone who spoke today for sharing who he was and his legacy with us. And just a couple of announcements from our office. The first is that just yesterday, Councilmember Arenas introduced a proclamation to Council for Child Abuse Awareness Month, where she recognized the Children's Advocacy Center of Santa Clara County. It just opened its doors on Monday, and it utilizes an integrated resource model to provide true wraparound services that prevent child abuse survivors from having to relive their trauma. And so it coordinates forensics exams and interviews, referrals to mental health services, and appointments with police and victim advocates all under one roof. And it's, rather than many. And so it's a huge partnership. It's expected to serve more than 300 children and their families in its first year. And I just wanted to uplift that and encourage you all to look into the center and its offerings. And the second announcement is around kids and this summer, which is just around the corner. We know that our kids are going back to in-person learning. Our families are considering enrolling their kids in more in-person activities. And I'm just excited to share what our wonderful PRNS department is up to, which is always a lot, but includes running Camp San Jose Strong and Camp San Jose Strong Junior. And so it's going to be for kids aged 3 to 12 this summer. And I'm most excited to share that the programs are free for scholarship eligible families. And so Councilmember Arenas also has long advocated for equitable access to all of our youth programming offered by the city of San Jose. And we have this unique opportunity to leverage some federal funding and make sure that programs like Rock and Learn and that our summer camps are accessible to our most vulnerable families. And so that's our families that are in and near zip codes that are most impacted by COVID. And so the current registration period, which is from now until May 21st, is open exclusively for families that qualify for the citywide scholarship program. And so the city's got the funding to make sure that every single slot available can be subsidized for scholarship eligible families. So our kids who are on free and reduced lunch, on Medi-Cal, on WIC, they're likely eligible for a full scholarship. Camps are going to be offered at the various community centers, at the libraries, as you've heard, and parks. And so it's an opportunity for our kids to socialize, make friends, get out and away from screens. And so I just wanted to encourage you all to help spread the word. All of the information can be found online. And that is it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from commissioners? If so, raise your hand.
I don't see any hands.
Okay, thank you. I really appreciate that. I know Commissioner Magana will probably agree. San Jose Unified is looking to partner around stuff like this for summer learning slide to kind of work, well, actually the pandemic learning slide really. And they're really interested in making sure they can partner and get their kids in seats in programs, because they're not going to be able to run as many this year because their teachers are really ready to take a break. And so being able to get their own summer schools up is going to be the priority, but they really want to partner and find seats for children who are vulnerable. So it would be really helpful to make sure that we get this information across to them, is my advice. And you happen to have two trustees here, so that's lucky. But thank you very much for your update. Great. Okay, let's see. Chair announcements. I really don't have any. There's just been, except to say, school in the city of San Jose Unified reopened today, and it looks like it went off swimmingly, is my announcement for today. Next is library director's announcements. Jill?
Thank you. So I just have a few short announcements. We are celebrating National Volunteer Week. Now, since the library temporarily closed in March of 2020, we've actually engaged more than 900 virtual volunteers who've contributed more than 24,000 total remote volunteer hours. And that includes an amazing more than 400 new volunteers who started their library service since shelter in place began. So there's a whole new audience for folks to commit time to support their libraries. The annual celebration recognizes important contributions that volunteers make in our communities. And for more information regarding volunteer opportunities, please visit sjpl.org/volunteer. Also, this one is really hard for me to believe because I was there for it. Our Village Square Branch Library turned 5 on Friday, April 16th. This was the last branch library to open under the Library Bond Program, and it is one of 2 branches located in District 8, the other being our Evergreen branch. Village Square is a 16,000 square foot building with LEED Silver certification. It has 22 public computers, 3 study rooms, a community room, and public art. Community members have described Village Square as a clean, brightly lit branch with wonderful staff and a tremendous addition to the neighborhood. So congratulations to our Village Square branch team. And you can learn more about what's happening at Village Square at sjpl.org/Village Square. And then lastly, we first introduced our Spring into Poetry contest, to celebrate National Poetry Month in April. Poets have been invited to submit their work within one of 5 age categories via email or a virtual submission form. Staff and teen volunteers and local writers will be judging the contest and choosing 3 winners within 5 age categories. Each winner will be awarded a prize and will be featured in a blog announcement on our website, on the Short Edition online portal, and which are short story dispensers in our facilities. This event builds off the success of our winter short story contest, and we hope that both will become annual events that foster artistic expression in the community and highlight local voices. So we're holding a separate contest exclusively for staff members whose submissions will be judged by local community members and writers. And for more contest details, you can go to sjpl.org. And that concludes my announcements.
Great, thank you. That's great. Everything today is great. Of the work being done, it's just amazing. But I think we'll move on to comments and announcements. Do we have anyone on Youth Commission or to give an announcement or no?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Commissioners, this
Yes.
is Laura Buzo with Parks and Rec.
Yes, hi Clara.
Good evening. I believe we were going to have a youth commissioner, but I'm thinking that she was not able to make it.
Oh.
So just wanted to share with you that the youth commissioners have presented city council members, as well as all of you should have received a copy of the Bill of Rights for Children and Youth. They spent January through March of this year gathering input from teens throughout the city as well as community members. And in March, they were able to finalize and edit, and that is what they have presented to rules committees as well as yourselves and the city council. So we hope that you've had an opportunity to review. They spent a considerable amount of time on it. It hadn't been revised or edited since City Council adopted it about 10 years ago. So they were very enthusiastic about making sure that it really reflected their experiences and the needs of today's youth.
That's great. Thank you.
Laura,
Thank
can you share the name of the youth commissioner with us? I want to make sure that they're not an attendee that we're just not aware of.
Thank you, I will.
Okay.
Jaya, I see your hand raised.
I just really quick, I wanted to point out that Jenny was so kind to provide the names of the 3 branches that do not have surveillance cameras. It is Berryessa, Calabasas, and Willow Glen. Tom, you had Mr. Trudell, Commissioner Trudell, you had asked that question. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. All right, are we ready to move on to meetings attended by commissioners as commissioners? Any commissioners want to report out? Raise your hand and Danica will find you.
Commissioner Allen?
Hi, I was able to attend the San Jose Aspires virtual event last Thursday. It was an extremely smooth event with a very animated MC, but I think the best part was sharing the videos of the students in the class of 2024. And I got to be in a breakout room with Lori Donato, who is a freshman at Overfelt High School. The event was very well run. It came in on time. So I want to commend the Library Foundation for a fantastic event. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Thorson?
I pretty regularly attend the Friends of the Bascom Library meetings. And so just wanted to say thank you to Jenny and Michelle for sharing the COVID-19 update, because all of the friends are really excited to get back into the library at some point. And so they'll be interested to hear everything that's coming and being planned for the coming months. And so just wanted to say thank you for doing these updates.
Wonderful. All right, I'm seeing no more hands.
Okay. We'll move on to C. Is there any, for the San Jose Public Library Foundation, if any commissioners had any interactions regarding our library foundation and would like to speak on it, now's the time. You can raise your hand, and of course, Danica will call on you.
Commissioner Thurston?
So don't want to add too much since you got our foundation update, but did want to say, just reiterate that if you are interested in being a part of the advocacy committee, to get in touch with me or Dawn, and we'll get the information to you. It's not a huge time commitment. We meet occasionally, and then you can attend council meetings or liaise with government officials or your networks as you have time and availability. And thanks, Jose. And we also, just to reiterate that the San Jose Aspires event last week was a huge success. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend, but there was a lot of press more than $6 million was raised. So that's hugely exciting. And as Dawn mentioned, brings us above our budget already when we're only in April of 2021. So just really exciting all around.
That is great. Thank you for that. All right, moving right along, of course, information and upcoming opportunities for commission participation is on the agenda. You know where to go. When Jill was saying it, she sounded like a commercial. It was so smooth. Are there any items for future commission meeting agendas that commissioners are interested in having considered? And again, you can read. Go ahead, Danica.
Oh no, I was just getting ahead of myself. I don't see any hands raised, but doesn't mean someone wasn't sneaking up on me.
Thank you. All right, then, if that's the case, I will ask for a motion to adjourn this meeting in honor of Mr. Scott Kimizuka. Can I have a motion?
Commissioner Allen, so moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Commissioner Jolly, second.
Thank you. If we can all take a vote, those that are wanting to vote aye, please say aye now or yes
Aye.
now. Aye.
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 Great. Those that are opposed would like to say no, we'd like to hang out some more. Please say no now. And does anyone need to abstain? All right, then the meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Danica, for the extra help.
Thank you. Good night.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Good night.
Night.
Bye.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Good job. Well.
Getting down to the final